Hi guys, this is Mr. Ibrahim the trader of Gova Trading Academy. So today I'm going to be showing you how to mark proximal line and distal line for either a buy trade or a sell trade, okay? So first of all, what is proximal line? What is this? What is a distal line? What is a proximal line? What is a distal line, first of all? So this is what proximal line is. I believe you can see this Fibonacci retracement tool on my chart. So this Fibonacci retracement tool, retail traders who are using technical analysis or smart money concepts usually use it to check for their zone levels and so on and so forth to make an entry and so on and so forth. But here in order flow trading, we only use it to highlight our zone. We only use it to mark our zone. We don't use it for analysis purpose. It has nothing to do with our. So, all right, guys. So proximal line and distal line using the Fibonacci retracement tool. The Fibonacci retracement tool is not, we don't usually use it for analysis purpose. We only use it to mark our zone, okay? We only use it to mark our zone. If there's another line that we can use to mark this zone, we can also use it aside from this Fibonacci retracement, okay? So it has nothing to do with our analysis, okay? It has zero effect on our analysis because it is just a line. It is just a line. We can decide to use any line to mark our zone like this and like this. But you can see this one is not it is not effective enough. What do I mean by it is not effective enough? It's not effective enough in the sense that we need a tool that can mark our zone like this. All right. So, but using these horizontal lines, you can see these horizontal lines here are not enough to mark our zone and to focus on the zone we are marking on. But the Fibonacci retracement tool, when you set it up the way we usually set it up in our order flow trading, you should be able to mark your zone in a very good way, highlighting the main zone you want to highlight. And that is going to give you focus on which zone you are trying to take or trade, okay? So now, what is the proximal line? Let's go back to the main question. What is proximal line and distal line? So let us write these notes down. This is very important for you to understand. If you don't understand this, you won't be able to understand order flow trading, okay? So it is very important for you to understand what proximal line is, what distal line is, okay? So make sure you are writing it down as I'm typing it out. So 0.0 line, 0.0 is proximal line, okay? Is proximal line. And it's marked at the open of a bearish basin candle in a buy trade. Okay, the way we mark it in a buy trade is different from the way we mark it in a sell trade. It is just a vice versa stuff. Okay, just a vice versa thing. So the other one we have is called the distal line. The distal line. Okay. So 100.0 is distal line. And it's marked at the lowest point of of the base for a buy trade, of course, okay, for a buy trade, So let me show you what proximal line is. Let me show you what a distal line is. So this is the proximal line and this is the distal line. So as you can see here, the 0.0 line, as you can see, is the proximal line, okay? The 100.0 line is the distal line, all right? So I believe this is clear now. This is buy trade example. This is a buy trade example. In a sell trade example, this definition is going to be in a sell trade example, it is going to be 0.0 is proximal line and it's marked at the open of a bullish basing candle in a sell trade, of course, in a sell trade, okay, in a sell trade. So this is a sell trade example. This is a sell trade example. So the distal line, we all know that 100.0 is distal line, and it's marked at the highest point of the base for a sell trade. So you guys can see that this is just a vice versa definition, okay? In a buy trade, if the proximal line is marked at the bearish candle basing candlestick in a buy trade, in a sell trade it is marked on the bullish. If the distal line is marked at the lowest base point of the base for a buy trade, for a sell trade it is marked at the highest point of the base. So you guys can see that this is just vice versa, okay? This is just vice versa. But make sure that you know how to mark the proximal line and distal line, okay? Make sure you know how to mark it. Make sure you write this note down. Make sure you write this note down, okay? Make sure you write it down, very important. So that whenever I'm mentioning how to mark proximal line and distal line, you should be able to know what I'm talking about, all right? So let me clean it up now. You can pause it. You can pause whenever you are watching the video. You can pause the video to watch it and over again, okay? So that is the essence of the recorded video, to be able to watch it over and over again, all right? And the proximal line and distal line, as you can see, this black dot here is what we usually use to move it up and down. This other dots here below for the 100.0 distal line is what we usually use to move the line up and down. But this the dot in the middle here is what we usually use to move the two lines up and down, all right? Just like this. An example is the proximal line. You can see you are moving it up and down, just the way I like. The distal line, I put my mouse on the dot. Make sure you are putting your mouse on top of the dot, the black dot, and you can see how you should be able to move your chart anywhere you want, okay? To anywhere you want, basically. So the dot in the middle, you can use it to move the entire Fibonacci retracement to, okay? You can use it to move it up and down to anywhere you like, all right? So that is it on this proximal line and distal line. However, coming into the practical aspect of it, how do we usually mark it on our trade? Now, to be able to know how to mark it on your trades, you need to understand what we call you must understand the basic candlestick. You must understand what basic candlestick is, okay? Now, what is basic candlestick, you might ask? What is basic candlestick? Now, here is the simple answer to this question. What is basic candlestick? Now, basic candlestick are candlestick that represents order matching process. So basic candlestick are candlesticks that represent order matching process, which means that basic candlestick is where buyers and sellers are being matched together in a transaction, okay? Now, let me show you an example of what basic candlestick is. Let me erase this. You can watch it later. Just rewind the video and you can rewatch it on your own later. Now, let me show you an example of basic candlesticks. Now, basic candlestick are candlesticks that are very, very small in size, whereby if you draw a box around the candles, those candles are going to fit inside the box. You can see these are small, small candles. I'm drawing a box around it, and all these candles are fitting inside the box. You can see small, small candles, whereby when you draw a box around it, the candlesticks are going to fit inside the box. Can you see these are examples of basic candlestick, okay? So, and this basic candlestick should not be more than 3 to 6 whenever you are trading. Whenever you have a zone, the basic candlestick on your zone should not be more than 3 to 6. Anything above 3 to 6 is over trading. There's over trading in the area. You can see this is small, small candlesticks, which is the basic candle. Now, this one is not part of the basic candle, okay? This red one is not part of the basic candle. So the basic candlestick starts from this one. So this is one basic candle, the bullish, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 basing candlesticks in this area. Now let me show it to you again. Let me first of all zoom it out, and then I'm going to show it to you. So look at it. Look at it. How many candlesticks do we have here? You can see what we have: candlestick 1, candlestick 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, do you know why I'm not counting this candlestick as part of the basing candle? That is because it is not part of the box. It is not inside the box. Let me highlight the box around this area. You can see that this candle here is outside the box. It is outside the box. This candle also is outside the box. So it means it is not part of the basing candle. This one also is not part of the basing candle. So the basing candlestick basically are these ones here, okay? So anything that is not inside the box is not part of the basing candlestick, okay? So that is it, guys. That is it. You have to know this. Let me show you more examples. Let me show you more examples. You can see we have basing candlestick here also, but the basing candlestick we have here, we only have 2 basing candlestick, one bullish and one bearish basing candle, okay? So you have to be able to recognize this on your charts. You have to make sure you practice your eyes. Make sure you practice. Use your eyes to practice all these things out. You can see these are basing candlesticks, small candlesticks in an area, whereby when you draw a box around it, the candlesticks are going to fit inside the box. Can you see? Small candlesticks, whereby if you draw a box around it, the candlesticks are going to fit inside the box. All right. So that is it. All right. That is it. Let me show you more examples. More examples. You can see here we have basing candlesticks here. You can see here we have basing candlesticks here. You can see here we have basing candlesticks here. So all you need to do is to train your eyes to be able to see them, okay? And make sure you train yourself in knowing how to mark it correctly. You can see this area too. We have basing candlestick here, small candlestick in this area. All right. You can see basing candlestick here also, small candlestick in the area, small candlestick in the area. So by now, I believe you guys should know what basing candlestick is. You can see this small candlestick here. These 2 bullish candlestick are basing candles. Let me show you more examples, and then I think that is going to be okay. You can see we have basing candlesticks here. Can you see basing candlesticks? So you can see we have basing candlesticks here too. You can see we have basing candlestick here also. Basing candlestick. So I believe by now you guys know what basing candlestick is. You can see we have too many basing candlestick in this area, too many, which is indicating over trading in the area. Okay, so that is it. Let me show you more examples, and then I'm going to show you how to use the basing candlestick to mark your zone. All right, you can see this is basing candlesticks, basing candlestick here. You can see we have the basing candlesticks here. So by now, I believe you guys know what basing candlestick is. All right, you see these are basing candlesticks. These are basing candlesticks, okay? So let us assume that in a buy trade situation, in a buy trade, or let's do it like this. Let's do it this way. Let's say we have a buy trade formation. Let me look for an example. You can see we have basing candlestick here. Look at the basing candlesticks that we are having here. So let me look for an example of basing candlestick. You can see here's an example of basing candlestick. Let me look for a basing candlestick that worked out so that you'll be able to know how that area was marked. All right, hold on. Okay, let me check GBP USD. Or let me check Euro USD. So this is Euro USD, guys. Now let me show you basing candlestick. First of all, let me show you a buy trade formation or a sell trade formation and show you how it works. I'm trying to look for a very good example so that you understand what I'm talking about. I don't want to complicate it for you, okay? All right, I think I've seen an example I can use. So in this example here, I believe you guys can see that this is a rally-based drop formation, right? Rally-based, and this is the drop in price. Rally, base, and a drop in price. Now, in this formation, I believe you guys can see that we have the basing candlesticks on this zone. You can see the basing candlesticks here, right? You can see the basing candlesticks. Now, in this area, here, how many basing candlesticks do we have on this level? First of all, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We have 9 candlesticks on this basing area. We have 9 candlesticks here. 9 basing candlesticks in the area. Now, remember what the note says. Remember what the note I just gave you, what it says. Remember. So to be able to know what it says, you need to write it down on a sheet of paper, okay? Write it down on a paper so that you can follow up how I'm going to do this. Now, for a sell trade formation, remember, the note I gave you says that in a sell trade formation, remember, this is the basing. Remember, this is the basing candlestick, right? Now, in a sell trade formation, remember it says that mark proximal line mark proximal line 0.0 at the open of a bullish basing candle. Remember that. It also states that mark distal line 100.0 at the highest point of the base for sell trade. Okay, for sell trade. Remember, this example is for sell trade. This example is for sell trade, okay? Now, look at the chart. On this zone, I believe you guys can see that our distal line, this is the highest point. This is the rally in price. This is the base generally, and this is the drop in price. So it means that in this area, we have our highest point. The highest point of that formation, if you have a formation like this, rally base drop, the highest point of the formation is here, the tip of that area, okay? So whether that area is having wicks or not, you must mark the wicks. You must mark the wicks for a distal line. You must mark the wicks. Okay, you must mark the wicks because the wicks is also part of the formation. So you must mark it. Now, the only time you shouldn't be marking the wicks is when you are marking the proximal line. For a proximal line, remember it says mark the proximal line at the open of a bullish basing candle. Now, how many bullish candlesticks do we have in this box? How many bullish candlesticks do you have? If you notice, we have 1 bullish candle, 2 bullish candle, 3 bullish candle, and 4 bullish candlestick. Okay, 4 bullish candlestick. Now, we all know that bullish candlesticks usually open from the bottom. So let us assume that we have bullish candlestick like this. So we all know that the bullish candlestick usually open from the bottom. So let us assume this is the opening of this bullish candle. This is the opening of this bullish candle. And let me label it as candle 1, candle 2, and candle 3. So guys, my question to you guys is, out of these three bullish candlesticks, for example, which of these bullish candlestick is having its opening at the lowest area, at the lowest points? This is the opening of this bullish candle here. This is the opening of this bullish candle here. This is the opening of this bullish candle here. So the answer to that question is that number 3, the bullish candlestick on number 3 is the one that is having its open at the lowest point, and that is going to be our proximal line, okay? That area is going to be our proximal line for a sell trade. So the the candlestick that is having its opening at the lowest area is where we are going to mark our proximal line. Now, let me show you this area. But before then, let me first of all zoom it out, so that you guys can see the area again. Now, you can see we have 1 bullish, 2 bullish, 3 bullish, 4 bullish candlestick on this base. Remember, this is the basing candlestick, small candlestick in the area. That's our basing candle area, okay? Now, the first bullish candlestick, this is the opening of the first bullish candle here. The second one, this is the opening of the second bullish candle. This is the opening of the other bullish candle, and this is the opening of the other bullish candle. I believe you guys can see that this is the candlestick that is having its opening at the lowest area out of all these 3 or 4 bullish candles. This one here is the candle that is having its opening at the lowest area. This one here, you understand? So, and that is going to be our proximal line, okay? Our distal line, remember, is at the highest point of the base. So it means that we are going to mark our proximal line here, and we are going to mark our distal line here. So you can see how price came back to the zone and then dropped down. So that is how to mark the proximal line and distal line for a cell trade formation, okay? So whenever you want to mark it using the Fibonacci retracement tool, when you click on it, bring it to your chart. When you bring it to your chart, make sure you put your distal line first. Make sure you always mark your distal line first before you mark your proximal line, okay? So you can see how I place it. I place the distal line at the highest point of the base, and you can see I'm putting the proximal line at the opening of this bullish candle, which is here. This area is not the right area to mark it. This is wrong because that is wicks. You are putting it on the wicks. So the wicks is not what we are looking for. We are looking to mark it at the opening of the bullish candle, which is this area, okay? So, and I believe you guys can see that I've marked my proximal line at the opening of the bullish basing candle, and I've marked my distal line at the highest point of the base. So that is how to mark your proximal line and distal line for a buy trade or a sell trade, okay? Also, after marking your zone, make sure you double click on these three dots. Make sure you double click on these three black dots here so that you lock your line, so that you do what? So that you lock the line. Because without locking the line is going to move to another place. So if you don't want your line to be moving to another place after you are done with your analysis, then always double click on the dots to lock it. Also put your rectangle here. You can see this rectangle here. Make sure you put it on the area. Use it to highlight your zone, to mark that area as your area of concentration. So you can see here, I highlighted the area from proximal line to distal line. This is the correct way to highlight it. Don't do it like this. This is not right, okay? This is very wrong. This is wrong because you can see the yellow is coming outside the box. So this is not right, okay? This is not right. Also, don't do it like this. Don't do it like this. Don't do it like this. This is wrong. This is wrong, okay? Don't do it like this. When you do it like this a little bit, it is okay. It is okay. Just a little bit like this, okay? Like this is not okay, okay? But just like this is okay, all right? Also, this way is not okay because you can see that it is out of the line. It is out of the line. So this is not okay. This is not okay. So you have to put it exactly in between the lines, in between the line, okay? After putting it in between the line, make sure you double click on it to lock the line, okay? Make sure you double click on it to lock the line because I believe you can see that the yellow box also has dots. So it means that if you don't double click on the line, the yellow box can move to another place. So, but right now it cannot move to anywhere because I've locked the line, okay? I've locked the line. So you can see the trade, price came back to the area and then dropped down. So that is how to mark your zone, all right, for a sell trade. Now let me show you an example on how to mark your proximal line and distal line for a buy trade, okay, for a buy trade. So for a buy trade, here's an example. Let me look for another example. Let me look for another example. All right, in this example, you can see that this is the basing candlestick here, right? This is the basing candlestick. This is the basing candlestick. And this formation is L-shaped formation like this, okay? So in an L-shaped formation, always mark your distal line here, your proximal line here. In a V-shaped formation, always mark your distal line here, your proximal line in between this area, okay? So let me show you how to mark it. So the lowest point of the base, you remember this is the base, right? The lowest point of the base is here. The wicks, the wicks here is the lowest point of that area, of that formation. Now, I believe you can see that we have many bearish candlesticks here. How many bearish candlesticks do we have? We have 1 bearish, 2 bearish, 3 bearish, 4 bearish, and 5 bearish candlesticks in this area. Now, out of this bearish candlestick, let me zoom it out. Now, let us assume that this is a bearish candle, this is a bearish candle, and this is a bearish candle. We all know that a bearish candlestick usually open from the top. So let's say this is the opening of this bearish candle, this is the opening of this bearish candle, and this is the opening of this bearish candle. So it means that, and this is candlestick 1, candlestick 2, and candlestick 3. So which of these bearish candlestick is having its opening at the highest level? So this is the opening of this candle here, this is the opening of this candle here, and this is the opening of this candle here. So as you guys can see, we have the highest level on number 2. Number 2, the basing candlestick on number 2 is the one that is having its opening at the highest level, and that is going to be our proximal line. Okay, that area is going to be our proximal line. So we need to choose the candlestick that is having its opening at the highest level. So the opening of this bearish candlestick is here, 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 the opening of this bearish candlestick is here. So as you guys can see, this is the candlestick that is having its opening at the highest level, and that is going to serve as our proximal line, all right, in this situation. So which means that the 100.0 line is going to be at the lowest point. So I'm going to put it on the wicks here. So actually make sure you are putting it right correctly on the wicks. This is wrong because you can see that the wicks is a little bit out of the line. So make sure you put it on the line properly. If you are drawing it and another candlestick is drawing it out like this, make sure you put the dot on the wick. Now the proximal line, I'm going to put the proximal line at the highest point of the open of the bearish. So you can see my proximal line is here, my distal line is here. Okay, so that is how to mark a buy trade formation, guys. That's how to mark a buy trade formation. So but let me show you one last example. So in this example here, I believe you guys can see that we have a drop in price here. We have the base and we have the massive rally in price. We have the drop, we have the base, and we have the massive rally in price. So this is L-shaped formation. So remember I told you guys that in an L-shaped formation, always mark your distal line here, your proximal line here, which means in an L-shaped formation, always mark your distal line here, your proximal line at the area here. So looking at the chart on this formation, I believe you guys can see where the distal line is going to be, the lowest point of the area, which is here, the wicks. Now we have the bearish candlestick. How many bearish candlestick do we have here? Remember, these are the basing candlestick in the area. So in that area, how many bearish basing candlestick do we have? We have 1 bearish, 2 bearish, 3 bearish, 4 bearish, 5 bearish candlesticks. So in that area, we have 5 bearish candlesticks. So we all know that in a buy trade, we need to mark our proximal line at the highest point of the bearish candle, at the candlestick that is having its opening at the highest level. So this is the opening of this bearish candle. 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 So the candlestick that is having its opening at the highest level is this one here. Okay, so that is going to be our proximal line. So let me use the tool to mark it out. First of all, remember you need to mark the distal line first, then after you mark the proximal line. So you guys can see that I marked the distal line first, which is here, and then I mark the proximal line second. Okay, so always mark the distal line first. The next thing you need to do is to highlight the zone from the proximal line down to the distal line, not like this. Remember, it is foolish like that. Just make sure you do it like this. It is okay, and moderate like this. Okay, it is okay like this. If it happens that you are trying to put your yellow box and the yellow box is continue going like this and like this, then what you need to do is shift it to this area, then adjust it in this area. After adjusting it in this area, then you can drag it to the area where you want to put it, and then double click on it to lock the tool. Okay, so you can see how price came back to the area, to our zone here, and then rallied up massively. So that is how to mark a buy trade proximal line, and that's how to mark a sell trade proximal and distal line. So, but let me show you one more last example, and then we are done with this. So I'm still looking for an example, one last example for a sell trade. So I'm still looking for an example of a sell trade. So you can see in this situation here, our distal line is going to be here. Our proximal line is going to be here. Okay. All right, so we have another formation here. You can see we have the rally based drop here, rally based drop. So on this rally based drop formation, as you can see, the highest point is here. Remember, for a sell trade, we need to mark it at the opening of a bullish basing candle. The opening of this bullish basing is here. The opening of this other bullish basing is here. So this one is the one that is having its opening at the lowest level, which is going to be our proximal line. All right. So our distal line officially is going to be here, and our proximal line is going to be at the opening of the basing candle stick there. So let me mark it using our tool. So it is going to be like this. Okay. You can see here also we have another formation of a rally based drop. You see, this is the rally in price, this is the base, and this is the drop in price. So in that area, I believe you can see that we have basing candlestick here. We have just 4 basing candlestick in the area. As you can see, we have one bearish candle, one bullish candle, bearish candle, and a bearish candle. Now, if you notice, let me zoom it out. Let me zoom it out. So if you notice, this is our basing candlestick. These are our basing candlestick. You can see that this bullish candlestick is not part of the basing. This bearish candlestick is also not part of the basing area, all right? So it means that our proximal line, our distal line is going to be at the highest point of the base. Our proximal line is going to be at the opening of the bullish candlestick, because that is the only bullish candlestick that we have in the area. Okay, so marking it with the tool, where I'm going to do it like this. So you can see how price came back to the zone and then dropped down massively. So guys, that is how to mark your proximal line and distal line for either a sell trade or a buy trade. Okay, so if you have any question, guys, feel free to ask me in the group. Okay, always feel free to ask me your question, because if you don't feel free to ask me your question, then you won't be able to understand all these things. Lastly, let me explain this formation. I believe you guys can see that this is a drop in price, this is the base, and this is a rally in price, which is drop, base, and a rally in price. Now, this is how the proximal line is and distal line. The distal line is at the lowest point of the base, which is here. The proximal line is at the opening of the bearish candlestick that is having its opening at the highest level, which is here. So let me use my Fibonacci retracement tool to mark it properly, which is like this. So you guys can see how price came back to the zone and respects the area I marked previously. You can see how price respected this level. Okay, so that is how to properly mark your zones, okay, for either a buy trade or a sell trade. If you don't understand, make sure you watch it on repeat. Make sure you watch this video on repeat and go and backtest this on your charts. Okay, go and backtest on your charts. Go and backtest on your chart. You can see this is another rally based drop formation, rally based drop formation. On this rally based drop formation, I believe you guys can see that this is the distal line is at the highest point of the base. Proximal line is at the opening of the bullish basing candle. So if I use my Fibonacci here to mark it properly, it should be like this exactly. So you can see how price came back to the zone here. You see how price came back here and dropped down. Okay, so that is how to properly mark your proximal line and distal line, guys, for either a buy trade or a sell trade. If you have any question, feel free to ask me. Also, make sure you are sending in your results for corrections. Okay,